Tonight, police warning. Mounties say counterfeit money circulating around Fort St. John. Cancellations. Freezing rain sidelining school buses this morning. And making a difference. Smile Cookie campaign raises thousands of dollars. Good evening and thank you for joining us, and we begin tonight with the Fort St. John RCMP warning retailers about counterfeit currency circulating across the city. Police say a customer at a local fast food restaurant attempted to pay with a fake $50 bill. Mounties add the bill seemed to have been fabricated using a $5 bill, and they say this incident is part of a series of recent events involving fraudulent currency. Retailers have the right to refuse suspected counterfeit bills. Anyone coming in contact with a suspected fake bill is being asked to contact the Fort St. John RCMP. Well, temperatures warming up across the Peace region, resulting in freezing rain and difficult driving conditions this morning. And with that in mind, School District 59 canceling school buses in Dawson Creek. However, buses in Chetwynd were still running. As for School District 60, most of those buses were on schedule, except the Charlie Lake and the Upper Pine routes. Environment Canada says flurries are possible every day this week, starting tonight. Now, parents are being encouraged to stay updated by checking the school websites and social media. It's cold and flu season across Canada, and cases are spiking in many areas. Health practitioners are bracing for what could be a bad influenza season. CTV's Scott Hurst explains.
Influenza is beginning to surge in Canada with the calendar flipping to a new month and the winter weather settling in. It is a sure sign that cold and flu season is coming along with it. And the numbers are already starting to back that up. According to the latest national surveillance data from Health Canada, cases are trending upwards. Influenza detections topped 2,100 in the past week of reporting, up from fewer than 1,400 the week before, putting the percentage of positive tests up to 8.1%. Now, there have been warnings that this year's flu vaccine may not be as strong of a match compared to previous years. The current vaccine does, in fact, target some of the strains circulating in Canada, but the World Health Organization has reported recent changes and mutations to the H3N2 strain, and that is why there is a mismatch in at least one of the strains targeted by the vaccine. However, the best advice, according to medical experts, is that it can still guard against the development of severe illness. Here's more from Dr. Christopher Labos on the importance of getting the vaccine.
Even when the vaccine is not a perfect match for the circulating strains, it does still provide a fairly good degree of protection. Worth remembering that things don't have to be perfect in order to be useful, and the influenza vaccine, even when it's not perfect, is still pretty useful because it's giving you the coverage against 3 of the most likely circulating strains.
The warning of a potentially bad flu year has hospital staff bracing for what could be an intense influenza season. Coupled with cases of RSV and COVID, it could mean a wave of respiratory illnesses that put added strain on an already burdened healthcare system. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
More health news tonight as the provincial government is hoping a new agreement will bring better working conditions for long-term care workers working outside the public healthcare system. The memorandum of agreement is between the Ministry of Health and the Health Employers Association of British Columbia. It will see more than 5,000 long-term care employees and assisted living workers brought to a higher quality of labor standards. There has been a discrepancy in pay and benefits between those working in hospitals and those working in private facilities. The province hopes the agreement will reduce turnover, providing stronger recruitment and retention and overall better care for seniors in British Columbia.
More than 100 eligible facilities will transition into HEABC membership. And by doing this, we're supporting fairness for workers. We're ensuring that they're receiving equitable wages and benefits and protections while strengthening the care that seniors receive.
The change is subject to a ratification vote of more than 5,000 workers. That'll wrap up later this month. And if approved, the changes would be implemented over the next 3 years' time. A group of health professionals are protesting the BC government's planned expansion of involuntary care. Doctors, nurses, and other health professionals described the protest as a refusal campaign. Just under 300 health professionals have already signed a statement saying they will refuse to implement the expansion of involuntary care in BC, although no further details were released. The province announced last week it has tabled changes to the Mental Health Act, reducing the legal exposure of healthcare workers when they deliver involuntary care to patients held under the law. We heard from the Minister of Environment today after Premier David Eby had a change of heart over his objection to an Alberta pipeline going through our province. Here's Michael Couture with the next steps to make the project a reality.
Do you support a pipeline?
Opposition MPs grilled the Environment Minister about a possible new pipeline from Alberta to the BC coast. But Julie DeBruzen says it's not only up to the federal government.
If the provinces and the Indigenous peoples are in agreement, that then there is a pathway to actually make that happen. But I am not going for a pipeline. But
Thank you.
While the federal government does have the jurisdiction over interprovincial pipelines, the minister says any project will have to involve all stakeholders.
there needs to be agreement from the province of British Columbia and of Indigenous peoples, and we're not going to override the jurisdiction of our provinces, and we're not going to override the rights of Indigenous rights holders.
The coastal First Nations are opposed to a pipeline going through their land in northwestern BC, but the route still isn't decided. The former head of Kinder Morgan Canada points out there is another path.
The market should decide where that pipeline ends up. Like, is it Kitimat? Is it Prince Rupert? Is it Vancouver? Do we go back to Vancouver and build another pipe, along the existing Trans Mountain route, which is always an alternative?
On CTV's question period, BC Premier David Eby said he'd be willing to talk about a pipeline through his province if the tanker ban remains in place. In a statement, Premier Daniel Smith said, "I will also continue to engage with the Premier on the larger bitumen pipeline project to see what ideas he has on how we can ensure this project can proceed in a manner that benefits both Albertans and British Columbians."
And there is some time for that. Alberta has until July 1st to submit its pipeline application to the Federal Major Projects Office. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And the pipeline issue causing Prime Minister Mark Carney to shuffle his cabinet today after Stephen Guilbeault resigned last week over a disagreement in climate policy. And Carney is bringing back a familiar face from the Trudeau era. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
The Prime Minister has decided to divide Stephen Guilbeault's previous responsibilities between three ministers. The biggest surprise was the return of a new old face. Mark Miller is returning to the inner circle after being dropped from cabinet after Mark Carney's election. Miller was a loyal supporter of Justin Trudeau, but has now been appointed Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity, as well as the minister responsible for official languages.
So it feels great. I am a guy that likes to be busy, and so I was a little restless, but it's nice to get the opportunity to keep on doing some amazing work and contributing to Canada, for the reasons that I got into politics, because I love my country.
Current Minister for Transformation of the Public Service and Procurement, Joel Lightbound, takes on the additional role of Quebec Lieutenant. Here's what he said after he was sworn in.
I'll just say that I'm honored by the trust bestowed on me by the Prime Minister. It's an important role in federal politics and in Quebec politics, and I look forward to getting to it.
Also, the current Minister of the Environment and Climate Change, Julie DeBruzen, takes on the additional role of Minister for Nature. She takes on responsibility for national parks. All three ministers involved in this shuffle were first elected in 2015. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Another major blow tonight for the Canadian steel industry. Algoma Steel confirming today it has issued layoff notices for about 1,000 workers. In a statement, Algoma Steel says it has been significantly impacted by the unprecedented tariffs imposed by Donald Trump. As a result, the company is closing its blast furnace and coke making operation. It'll transition to electric arc steel making a year earlier than planned. The layoff will take effect in late March. Now, back in September, it was announced the company would receive $500 million in federal and provincial loan assistance to help deal with the impact of tariffs. Transport Canada has issued a warning affecting over 3,700 Nissan vehicles. They say a software problem is affecting the display of the rearview camera image, which could cause a crash. The warning includes the 2025 and 2026 models of the Infiniti QX, 80, Armada, and Murano. Meantime, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has once again issued a warning about recalled pistachios products due to a possible salmonella contamination. The pistachios and the products containing pistachios were sold in several provinces, including here in British Columbia. An extensive list of the products and where they were sold is available on the federal government's website. The notice advises anyone who has become sick from eating a recalled product to contact their healthcare provider. Today is Cyber Monday, a day when many people turn their devices to shop online for Christmas deals, and that has prompted Consumer Protection BC to put out a warning to know your rights when buying online. The government agency says using a credit card will give you the most protection under BC's consumer protection laws if something goes wrong and you don't receive your package. It's also advising British Columbians that before hitting confirm on an online purchase, to review and correct any mistakes in the order or shipping details before making the purchase, such as the price you are paying for the product, shipping costs, and the delivery date. Consumer Protection BC says it is important to understand the retailer's cancellation, return, or exchange policies in case your purchase never arrives.
First step is to contact the business and try and work it out with them. We have resources on our website so that you can actually officially cancel your order with the business if you haven't received it within 30 days of when they said they were going to send it to you. If that doesn't work, we encourage you to contact your credit card provider to request a chargeback. But if the business and the credit card provider both say no, that they're not going to help you get a refund, they may be in breach of our laws, and Consumer Protection BC definitely wants to hear about that.
Consumer Protection BC says it will work with consumers to navigate the often complicated process of a refund if the law has been breached. And tomorrow is an important day for many charitable organizations in the Peace region that rely on donations in order to help those in need. It's called Giving Tuesday, a day that's touted as a global generosity movement, encouraging you to donate to a local charity. Among those experiencing the greatest need right now are food banks. Many people are struggling to put food on their table under the rising cost of inflation. Food Banks BC says since 2019, that food bank usage has risen by 80%, and it has seen another 9% increase over last year. The charity's executive director says tomorrow is an important day for the charitable sector, although with everyone feeling the pinch, donations are also down, and there needs to be a more sustainable revenue stream moving forward.
Lucky to have the support of so many donors in BC, but what we've seen over the last couple of years is that donations have dropped. It's a huge day for the charitable sector. It's an invaluable kind of influx of support, but we need it for more than just one day. And not to sound ungrateful, but you know, this need is ever present. It's growing. So sustained support for the charitable sector is urgently needed.
Now, tomorrow you are being encouraged, if possible, to make a donation to a charitable organization in your community. Well, the Dawson Creek Firefighters Association, along with the local Tim Hortons, raising over $21,000. The money was raised through this year's holiday Smile Cookie campaign. Smile cookies were sold for $2 each from November the 17th until the 23rd at Tim Hortons in Dawson Creek. The money raised was split between the DC Firefighters Charitable Society and the Tim Hortons Foundation camps. The association wanting to share a big thank you to the entire community for their generosity, their kindness, and their support. It says the funding will help strengthen the community through many charitable initiatives. All right, please do stay tuned. Noel will be right back after the break with weather.